You're listening to the Science of CX. My name is Steve Pappas. I'm known for my relentless pursuit of all things customer. Across my career, and also in my 6 startups, I've had to learn how to make decisions in business that customers really respond to. Let's spend some time together and help your business soar, grow, and accelerate. Thank you for joining us on this special edition of the Science of CX. I'm Steve Pappas, your host. We're going to be going over the most recent Panviva CX Influencers eBook. So I'm going to do an overview. Most important CX influencers in customer experience have contributed separate articles, and I think you'll find it interesting. But what I did was I tried to kind of summarize what their expertise in each article is conveying, and I hope you will download the CX ebook and then read the whole thing yourself. But let's get started. So in the Panviva CX Influencer ebook, the contributions really ran the gamut from all over the world. So let's get into these various articles. So Roy Atkinson offered up the Don't Mistake Customer Experience Design for Customer Experience. The interesting thing about the article that Roy penned is that we have to think about that customers are individuals and experience things in different ways. What excites some people frightens others. What seems perfectly intuitive to me may confuse and frustrate you. So we really need to figure out feedback. We really have to have feedback from the customers in as real time as possible. Things like, where did they pause along their customer journey? What did they do after that pause? Did they continue the way we predicted, or did they go off in a different direction? Analyzing customer behaviors can give us insights into their motivations and sentiments. Things like predictive analytics, they help us increase our planning accuracy. Sentiment analysis helps us understand subjective feelings and behaviors. Machine learning and AI can help us interpret, categorize, and visualize patterns in customer behavior. Basically, everyone in the organization contributes in one way or another to the planning and offering of products and services, and ultimately the customers are the arbiters of the success. So the work of CX is to present a brand and products in ways that customers, they like, they find attractive, and they want to repeat. But we must bear in mind that we are presenting them. It is our customers who make the decision to purchase. The customer experience is all about them. Next up, an article by Gene Bliss, Leadership Bravery, Earning Your Legacy by Bravely Choosing How You Will and Will Not Grow. So Gene talks about employees presenting ideas. Are we creating a trusted relationship with our customers? Is the action one-sided? Are we enabling our employees to do the right thing at the right time? Are we letting them extend grace? Do we trust our people with enough customer information so they can make the right call? Gene goes on to talk about one great example of this is Raul Leal, the CEO of Virgin Hotels. Virgin decided to build their hotel system and their hotel experience not from the traditional tacking on of service fees and things like that for everything, but by creating an experience and really earning growth from the experience they deliver. So earning their legacy by standing out as the kind of people who consider Wi-Fi a right, not a revenue stream. By showing up as the kind of company that delivers room service without a fee, with no fees whatsoever. So it's leaders who model behaviors, honoring customers and employees that everyone can model across your organization. Gene asks, ask yourself, do acts of leadership bravery make you and your company stand out? Over to the next article by Megan Burns. Megan talks about 3 ways to fine-tune your customer experience program in 2020. She goes on to compare customer experience transformation to the struggle of trying to live a healthy lifestyle in this all-you-can-eat, screen-obsessed world. In both cases, even when we want to do better and we know what to do, we still struggle to execute. And that's a great parallel to a CX strategy. But she goes on to deliver us 3 strategies that she finds most effective as partnered with organizations on CX-focused transformation in 2019. The first one is highlight what's working. Your employees are doing some good things already. They may need to do more, but praise is more motivating than criticism. Number 2, use words to change thoughts. How we talk about things shape how we see them. And number 3 is focus on forward action. Steering committee meetings can be brutally boring. One CX leader asked Megan what she should do to boost the fading attendance. Megan went on to tell her to swap the "here's what we've done in the last quarter" readout for a more active format. Send the history by email and use the meeting to outline 2 things. 1, what her team was about to do, and 2, what they would need from those leaders or their teams to do it. Some great words there from Megan Burns. Shep Hyken talks about how to disrupt your competition. Shep talks about one of his favorite topics to discuss is the concept of convenience and how it can provide a competitive edge for any business. Customers love convenience. That's a fact. Shep thought it appropriate to share some of his thoughts with our readers on how being easy and convenient can really give you a competitive advantage over others that are offering similar products or services. You have to remember that customers are smarter than ever before, and their expectations are to receive positive customer service experience. In most situations, your competition is trying to match or even outmatch you. What happens when you and your competitor are similar in price, are similar in quality, and are similar in service? How can you stand out? The answer by Shep is simple: convenience. That's when great customer service meets convenience and you have a true recipe for disruption. So, in other words, if your company is easier to do business with than the competition, if you provide a convenient experience and the customer knows it, you will disrupt your competition and create fiercely loyal customers. In short, you will win. Luke Jameson from Australia talks about what is the buzz. He talks about customer experience phraseology rarely comes without substance, which is why it's so important not to assimilate the buzzword into everyday dialogue simply because it's in vogue and makes you look extra or the authority on a subject. Luke goes on to give 3 tips on CX buzzwords. 1, don't write them off straight away. Get to know where they started. Do some research, figure that out. 2, understand what principles they're based on and how they could help your customers. And 3, use them to open up broader dialogue, not to sound like an authority on a subject. Next, we have Diane Majors talking about how to link true financial value to the experience management. Diane goes on to talk about how to modify your approach to link true financial value in your experience management strategy. 1, she says, link to the executive's questions about customers. Why do customers choose us? Why did they leave us? What are they saying about us? What's the impact of those activities on our success? Knowing those goals and linking your projects to those goals is very important. That'll show financial impact and it'll gain traction and support for more experience management. This really is the basis for creating both customer and business value and generating positive financial results. So meet with the CFO, gain alignment with your CFO and your finance team. Partner with your HR team to identify potential financial value for changes to the employee experience. And in your journey mapping, try to include a swim lane in your mapping for financial impact. That's a great way to get started. Is asking, what's the financial impact of this current or future experience to the organization? And she finishes with mapping every one of the activities or projects to the brand's strategic goals, thinking about outcomes your customers and employees are looking for. Are you saving them time and effort? Blake Morgan offered up the 3 best practices behind every customer experience strategy. We know that customer experience is constantly changing, but its core components really do remain the same. So the things that she thinks you should be thinking about are: 1, be thoughtful. Too many brands rush to get the newest and flashiest technology to serve their customers, but really overlook an important part of the equation: actually caring for customers. 2, involve everyone. How a company operates internally has a huge impact on the external customer experience. Customers can tell when a company is disjointed because they have inconsistent experience. And 3, take a stand. Today's businesses don't operate in a vacuum. They are very much impacted by what's happening in the world around them, both good and bad. Moving on, Greg Ortbach talks about CX, from buzzword to buzzkill, finding opportunities within threats. Greg goes on to talk about companies that have a successful handle on their customer journey and understand the personas of their customers and prospects have a distinct advantage since they're already seeing things through the lens of the customer. However, this becomes exceedingly difficult in organizations that are being rocked at their very core through disruption or an ever-changing distribution model. Greg continues to talk about, as consumers, we've evolved to a point where it's easier to purchase a product or service on spec and painlessly return it for another without leaving the comfort of our home or office. So the critical importance of customer experience and brands are coming to terms with the fact that although they don't get to dictate their customers' expectations, they certainly must ensure their house is in order and there is alignment in all departments in order to deliver on the brand promise. In my article, Understanding the Customer Choice Brain in CX, I really talk about excellent CX is the single most competitive advantage when it comes to winning new customers and keeping them. So how do you know if you're doing it right? I talk about the fact that consumers now have evolved their choice brain. The ability to choose from one vendor to another boils down to these 3 important factors: time, money, and effort. But by understanding the variables of these 3 factors, we should be able to overcome deficiencies in our competitive landscape. So we've really evolved as consumers, and now with too many choices, we think differently. This all means that as businesses, we need to deliver all the information our prospective customers need to satisfy their choice brain. In addition, all our interactions and transactions need to be confident, and information needs to flow smoothly and quickly to satisfy the ultimate customer experience. Let's not lose sight of how much choice plays into the expectations and the customer's experience. Our next article is by Kathleen Peterson, called The Willingness of Healthcare Institutional Leaders to Categorize Patients as Customers. So this is important because to achieve excellence in both the interaction and the transaction, the front line must be equipped with information and learning tools that are easily updated and present clear information to the agent at the right time. Especially in healthcare, accuracy is critical in getting the right patient to the right provider at the right time and in the preferred location. Training and information management are essential in complex healthcare environments, where the patient now demands and deserves not only clinical treatment, but to be treated as a valued customer. It is the value of the patient as a true customer that enhances the experience throughout the many phases of the patient's journey. Dr. Katrina Wallace from Australia talks about AI and ethics in the augmented age of customer experience. Some of the interesting points she talks about are some of the key principles for an AI ethics framework that will significantly impact customer experience really do boil down to: 1, human, social, and environmental well-being. AI systems should benefit individuals, society, and the environment. 2, human-centered values. AI systems should respect human rights, diversity, and the autonomy of individuals. And 3, fairness. AI systems should be inclusive and accessible and shouldn't involve or result in unfair discrimination against individuals, communities, or groups. Jeremy Watkin talks about a blueprint for getting and keeping customers. And he puts a hint, make it ridiculously easy. He says the one important thing is minimize wait time. Have you ever stood in a long line at a store where only one person behind the counter was actually helping customers, while there were multiple other people doing who knows what behind the counter, making every effort not to make eye contact or to directly help customers? Jeremy talks about this in his article, Blueprint for Losing Customers. And I think that's a great way to talk about this, because when you make it as easy as possible for customers to do business with you, they'll not only continue to do business with you, but they will encourage others, whether it's household members, friends, family, other acquaintances. So there are really two lessons here. First, don't make your customers wait excessively. And second, there will be times when your frontline staff can't shoulder the load on their own without excessive wait times. One way to mitigate that might be to empower others to step up and help. So I hope you've enjoyed my little overview of the Panviva annual CX Influencer eBook. Thanks for listening. My name is Steve Pappas, and you've been listening to the Science of CX. You've been listening to the Science of CX. My name is Steve Pappas. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if you have, the highest compliment that you can give us is to subscribe, rate, and review the Science of CX. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.